Poppin' Mutants, it's me, MT, and welcome back to the heavy spoiler show, y'all. That Deadpool and Wolverine trailer was pretty tight, right? Almost as tight as Wade Wilson's. But let's just go ahead and talk about Matthew Macfadyen's mysterious character paradox, because I have a feeling that this man is the secret big bad of Deadpool and Wolverine, meant to push Marvel Studios' Secret Wars narrative along. So let's just get into it, gang. But hey, if you like this video, maybe consider hitting that thumbs up and or subscribe button. That type of engagement is a really fantastic way to support the Heavy Spoilers channel and to let us know that you guys care. But what's even better than that, spending $1 a month on our VIP members only content, where you can get access to our videos way earlier than everybody else. If you guys want to feel special, y'all can do that too. But of course, y'all ain't got to do any of that. We're just glad that you guys are here. Alright, so just like I said right off the jump, the real villain of Deadpool vs. Wolverine will be Matthew Macfadyen's paradox. I'm calling it. Because this dude is straight up playing Deadpool like an undying, disfigured fiddle of a man. Because I'm gonna be real with y'all, I don't think Paradox works for the TVA whatsoever. But before I dive into Paradox's potential motivations, just who is Paradox anyway? Well, much like Paul brought up in his excellent breakdown of the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer that you guys can check out here, Paradox is a character who has only appeared in a singular Marvel comic, 2005's She-Hulk #3 to be exact. He was one of a set of identical triplet judges at the TVA, alongside a Mr. Mobius and Mr. Ouroboros, two names that Marvel Studios has already adapted for TVA agents already in the Loki series. And much like we saw in Loki Season 1, these three TVA judges from the comics were in charge of sentencing those convicted of time crimes, with time criminals facing complete erasure from existence through a piece of TVA technology called the retroactive canon, or Red Canon, which is of course a play on retcon, a piece of comic book technology that was undoubtedly the inspiration for the pruning sticks that the TVA used in Season 1 of Loki. But anyways, Mr. Paradox is very much a supporting background character without much of a personality, who ends up getting erased from existence himself in his debut issue. So, Deadpool and Wolverine is pretty much the first time this character is ever gonna get any depth or development from Marvel. But anyways, despite his empty comic book past, I still get a strong vibe of evil from this well-dressed man. And the reason why I think Paradox is the big bad of this movie is because of two simple words: Secret Wars. I know you guys saw that Secret Wars comic in the corner of that frame there. There's a reason why that's there, y'all. Secret Wars is the big endgame level event for the multiverse saga that has very much been teased to be a mashup celebration of all things Marvel and cinematic. Much like the 2015 Secret Wars comic book event was a mashup of every Marvel universe, the Secret Wars movie is being set up in a similar vein, with Marvel Studios being deeply invested in bringing all the Marvel media that were previously scattered and locked behind several different companies together under the singular canonical umbrella that is the Marvel Cinematic Polymultiverse. And no, I'm not making the word polymultiverse up. Miguel from Across the Spider-Verse actually coins this term when he's talking about the structure of the Marvel multiverse. And this Secret Wars event is Marvel's way of achieving just that. We are all very much on the road to Secret Wars, my friends. And this being the case, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Marvel Studios seems to have started the Secret Wars already, specifically with the Loki show. Because while Loki Season 2 did end happily for the Marvel cosmos by having Loki become a living duct tape solution to a multiversal meltdown, the TVA still kinda has a major problem, and that problem is the TVA. Because when we last left the TVA in the Loki Season 2 finale, that place was still in absolute shambles. That season was all about the chaos that ensued following the revelation that their entire life's religion and purpose were simply the machinations of a madman trying to maintain his idea of absolute order. Like, pretty much immediately after word got out that their corporate gods were Chuck E. Cheese animatronics, the TVA descended into complete mayhem as multiple factions were formed with their own ideas for how the TVA should be run. For example, General Dox had her own little faction of TVA agents who were loyal to He Who Remains' original directive of pruning timelines with Alioth grenades. And those crazy kids were left alone for 2 seconds, and they managed to delete countless timelines from existence before they were stopped by the sheer power of Loki and Sylvie holding hands before marriage. Like, my God, the things that you'll do when you hold hands with a woman before marriage, You can reshape reality. You could stop a terrorist attack. And Renslayer, of course, had her own squad of goons that crushed their competition by thinking slightly outside the box. And by outside the box, I mean inside the box. And when I say inside the box, I mean a puddle of human remains inside of a very tiny box. But like, if you think about it, these are just two of the factions that popped up post He Who Remains. I mean, you've seen how freaking big the TVA is, guys. Like, that place was basically an entire world in itself with countless buildings and departments that we never got the opportunity to even glance at yet. This being said, I strongly believe Paradox to be a leader of one of these splintered TVA factions. A faction of pruners currently in a secret hidden war with B-15's new TVA faction of gardeners and any other TVA faction that could be vying for control over the sacred timeline. A new multiversal war is coming to the MCU, and it's already being fought by TVA agents. Because you gotta remember, at the end of the damn day, the TVA is run by human beings. And if there's one thing that human beings love to do, it's fight each other to the death for power and control. And unfortunately, not everyone that worked at the TVA is as compassionate and selfless as Hunter B-15, a woman who has no desire to control the fates of other people, but instead dedicates her entire existence to making sure others can be free to make whatever choice that they want. Now, you can bet your ass that there are plenty of people within the TVA whose mouths salivated with temptation when they heard that He Who Remains' seat was currently vacant. Because who doesn't want to be God? Just kidding, I don't want to be God. That seems like a lot of work and a whole lot of customer service complaints. And I believe that this is why the last thing that we see Hunter B-15 doing in the Loki series finale is preparing for war. I mean, first she checks in with Mobius to see if the Kang problem is taken care of, then she heads to the war room to prepare to manage all the chaos and fallout that a post He Who Remains TVA brings, including all of the other radical TVA employees that share Renslayer and Dox's pro-pruning methodologies. Because you gotta remember here, Loki's sacrifice in the Loki Season 2 finale was meant to give the Marvel multiverse a chance. It wasn't meant to be a permanent solution. So in the eyes of a lot of TVA agents, the multiverse is still in trouble. And a lot of those agents want to reinstall He Who Remains' old system of doing things so that a new one of them can sit in He Who Remains' seat and dictate all of reality. So this all being said, because of his insane healing factor, I believe that Deadpool is being used as a soldier for hire in a secret multiversal war that is being fought amongst the shattered remains of the Time Variance Authority, a war that Deadpool knows nothing about. So while Paradox feeds Deadpool's ego with promises of being amongst the pantheon of MCU heroes, I believe that Paradox is secretly seeking to manipulate Deadpool in order to use him to eliminate whatever targets Paradox needs eliminating, especially those targets who are mutated or otherwise enhanced with superpowered abilities, you know, like Pyro and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, two mutants from the Fox X-Men movies that look to have been pruned in the void in this trailer. Because with the TVA now shattered into separate groups, these groups aren't really all that strong on their own. I mean, sure, yeah, Paradox does have a good number of soldiers, but nothing compared to the full might of a united TVA, right? However, if you have an undying and highly skilled mercenary looking to prove himself as a true hero, you can manipulate him and potentially other mutants into fighting your secret war for you. You know, much like He Who Remain manipulated all the people in the TVA to fight his war for him. And a big reason why I believe that Paradox is part of one of these splintered factions of the TVA is because the TVA soldiers that he works with still very much act like the rough and brutal time-correcting soldiers that the TVA used to be before Loki and Sylvie revealed the truth to everybody, as opposed to the peacekeeping gardeners that B-15's faction has newly installed to promote the growth of new timeline branches. The TVA that we left behind in Loki Season 2 was no longer as uncaring as the TVA agents that we see in the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer. And on top of this, right after Paradox tells Deadpool to walk with him, we get this shot of one of the hallways of the building, a hallway that ends with a wall covered in He Who Remains era TVA artwork. Like the art on that wall was clearly meant to depict the time loom managing the branches of He Who Remains' former sacred timeline halo. Like that's what that image is all about. And that's the structure that used to exist before Loki transformed the multiverse from a sacred timeline halo into a sacred timeline tree. So, unless the events of Deadpool and Wolverine take place before the events of the first season of Loki, it really doesn't make sense for B-15's Time Variance Authority to be acting like a fascist time army anymore. So I have a feeling that after Paradox tricks Deadpool into eliminating and or pruning whatever high-value strategic targets that he needs eliminated, Paradox will then betray Deadpool and send him off to the void with the other mutants that he's discarded as well. So I believe that there's a good chance here that Wolverine is attacking Deadpool at the end of this trailer because he wants vengeance on Wade Wilson for pruning him there in the first place. Because the only TVA soldier that would ever have the ability to prune someone as badass and undying as Wolverine is another badass undying person like Deadpool. But that's just my take on Paradox. What do you guys think? Like, do you guys think that Paradox is actually just a good TVA agent? And do you think that he could actually be associated with the real TVA that we left behind with B-15 at the end of Loki Season 2? Let us know in the comment section down below. But anyways, thank you guys so much for spending time with me and watching this video. You can follow me at Mastertainment on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, or wherever I am on the internet. But most importantly, you can follow Heavy Spoilers here on YouTube. And when you do, make sure you hit that notification bell so you get notifications every time we upload a video. And again, if you guys have not checked out Paul's breakdown of the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer, check that out here because it's some good stuff. My boy Paul's always putting on excellence, y'all. But anyways, I love you guys so much. Thank you guys for spending time with me, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.